Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing some Elite Dangerous. So this is something we haven't done on my channel yet, but I picked it up in a recent Steam sale and I have been loving the mess out of it, so I figured I would share it with you guys. So we're going to be taking a look at the Diamondback Explorer this time. It is a ship that is now near and dear to my heart. And I want to give you a brief overview of it, and then we'll go into fittings and all the other juicy bits. The Diamondback Explorer was Lakon Spaceway's response to the criticism of the original Diamondback ship class. By extending the ship's frame, it allows for greater cargo capacity and greater mission variety and endurance. It also brought the ship more into line as a smaller brother to the successful Asp line, although at a much more modest price range. The Explorer model can fulfill the same roles as its companion ship type, but also able to operate as a fast transport and resupply vessel useful for supporting deep space operations in a hostile environment. Now, I have tried out the ASP, and we'll be looking at that again here in a little bit, but I kind of want to go over the modules here and what I use it for. What I use it for is purely exploration. What I use it for is purely exploration. Let's go ahead and hop into the outfitting section and take a look at what all I've got slammed on here. I've got a large multi-cannon, 2 pulse lasers. That should get me out of any trouble I get into, combat-wise. It is not really a combat ship, even though it's kind of classified as a combat explorer. I mean, it can carry a lot of weapons for a ship that's not really designed for combat. That said, it is better for combat than a lot of the other ships out there, most notably the Sidewinder, which is what you start out in. Going over to the utility mounts. Heatsink launcher. I've kind of been torn about putting a heatsink launcher on there for a while. If you don't know what that is, if you start to overheat, you can launch the heatsink to get that heat away from you right quick. And when you're scooping a star, you kind of sometimes need that. It's not always easy to get rid of all of that heat. Let's see, core internal. I have everything maxed out as much as I can price-wise. I've got the lightweight alloys. That means I've got a nice light ship, increasing my jump range and sacrificing a little bit of that combat effectiveness because I take damage easier with the lighter weight alloys. I've got the biggest power plant I can slap in there, which is the 4A. I've got the 4E thrusters. If I upgraded those, I would get just a little bit more range, but I run into weight issues, and you'll see why as I go over the other ones. I have the top frame shift drive, a 5A. It doesn't get better than that, and if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see that my jump minimum, current, and max are 32.88, 33.02, and 35.64 light years, which is the most out of any ship I've been able to outfit so far, including the Asp Explorer. Now, I may be doing something wrong on that ship, but I can't seem to get it over 22 light years, which is a big deal for me as an explorer. The bigger the light year jump minimum that I can handle, the further I can go. So, right now, I'm about 33 light years per jump, which nicely minimizes the amount of distance, about number of jumps it takes to go the same distance. Life support. Haven't touched it, don't really see a whole bunch of need in that. You can judge that on your own when you get around to it, if you get around to it. I didn't. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It just increases the amount of time outside of your ship you can handle should it start to fail on you. I've also got the 4A power distributor, which is the top that I could fit in there. Power distribution is a big deal because it'll get power to the right places quick. So right now I'm not really using it for anything, but it does optimize. So I do get not really any more jump range out of it, but more effectiveness out of the power that I already have there. Sensor suite, hadn't touched that, perfectly fine. Fuel tank, I haven't been able to find any stock for something bigger, but it's a 5C. It's 32 tons of fuel. That has been plenty so far. And I know I'm kind of blitzing through this, but I don't want to waste your time sitting here in a hangar. Going over my optional internal, I've got a good, maybe not the best shield generator. It's not that big of a deal because I don't plan on getting into combat. I did grab the biggest, baddest fuel scoop I could. That fuel scoop pulls a lot of fuel in as I'm scooping from the sun. I love it. I absolutely love it. It says 0.18 tons per second. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there as far as scoop rate on your module versus scoop rate when you're scooping from a sun. Totally different, because when I'm scooping on a sun, it's 151 whatever units per second. So I like it. It does a good job. Standard docking computer, that's kind of cheaty. I get into a station, I request my docking permission, I drop my throttle to 0, and off she rolls and parks herself for me. That's something I like to put on all of my ships, but it is absolutely optional. If you like landing yourself, you will save a little bit of weight, and you may eke out just a little bit more jump distance. Detailed surface scanner, really big deal. Those things go a long way. This one, on average, 50 light seconds away from a planet, I can scan it and collect that data, and as an explorer fit, that's a big deal to me. That means I don't have to be quite as close to scan the planet. The Advanced Discovery Scanner, you look at it, it's got an active range of infinity, so when I activate it, it picks up literally everything, and the passive range is 33 light seconds, which is respectable. Cargo rack, I went with the smallest one that I could fit and still have some cargo. I like to run black box recovery missions, and really I only need 2. If you want to save a little bit more weight, you can get rid of that. I like having it just in case I need to scoop at least a little something. And the planetary approach suite, I have seen no reason to get rid of that. Doesn't really cost much weight-wise, so left it as is. Nothing special to delivery. Don't need to see my stored modules. Let's go ahead and get this sucker out into space. So just a little bit of foreknowledge before we get going too far. I do have a list that I'm working off of for exploration, and I like it, highly recommend it. If you Google Road to Riches, or I should be putting this down in the description, it is a way to find planets that are worth picking up and going and exploring for good credits. So that's how I afforded this ship. You can do it in the smallest, lightest ship, the Sidewinder. I don't recommend it in the Sidewinder for a couple of different reasons, and the biggest reason is it takes forever to get anywhere. So to plot out my course, I go up to my galaxy map, go to my search, type in where I want to go there, plot my route, and because I've got such a large jump range and a fuel scoop, I'm using the fastest routes. So I've already got that locked in, and I can go ahead and start headed that way. Looking at it, I've got 7 jumps out to roughly 200 light years away. So yeah, good stuff, real good stuff. I'm gonna kind of speed us through these jumps because they're not the most interesting. I may do a slight highlight on how to scoop fuel, but I figure most of you folks that are in here watching this have some idea already. If you don't, you may learn something. So, parked outside of a sun, you can either park or you can keep circling around, and you'll be picking up fuel. Actually, this one's running 176, which is nice. As you circle the sun, you definitely need to keep a lookout on that heat, make sure you don't start overheating. It's nice to get a bunch of little scoops versus one really big scoop, because your heat does build up really quick. But with a nice fuel scoop like this, you can get a full load before it becomes too big of an issue. As soon as I'm done fuel scooping, I get some distance from the sun so I can start cooling down. You can see my heat dropping both on that bar at the top that just disappeared and in the bar on my HUD down at the bottom. When you do fit new stuff, you do need to make sure that you've got everything in a fire group. So I put my discovery scanner in my #1 fire. There we go, just scanned, got 22 new astronomical objects. Good stuff. That's that infinity range working out for me. And I wanted to say, if you've got stuff in Group 1, stuff in your utility class, like this Advanced Discovery Scanner, as long as you're in Super Cruise, it won't try to pull your weapons out. You'll just use that module, like what I just did. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get out to the system and show you how to get started in exploration. If you're in a smaller ship like a Sidewinder, the steps aren't too terribly different. It just includes a lot more jumps. You can do it with much smaller scanners, so hey, you don't have to go with the top of the line equipment like what I've done, but it does absolutely help. And I'll give you a few pointers for once we get there and you actually need to do the scanning. And before I get too far into it, I want to make a point to say scan literally every system you go through with that infinity range scanner. Even if you don't have an infinity range scanner, scan it, because every little bit is worth some cash. Okay guys, here we are in our destination system. You may have noticed a couple of nice swirls around the sun. I find if I circle it in the way that you just saw, I can keep my heat down while still keeping my fuel scoopage high. So I can do it a bit more safely and a bit more effectively at the same time. First thing you want to do when you get in here after you refuel, you want to run that scanner. No matter what size it is, it should pick up the number of suns. Now the guide that I'm using that auto-generates depending on where you are, I'll maybe walk you guys through that a little bit later. It was pretty easy to set up and it's crazy easy to use. But scan the system, you'll see a whole bunch of unexploreds in your navigation list. Yeah, see, I don't know what any of these things are, but it'll tell me what system is nearby. I'm going to go to the system map, and you'll see the one sun and the planets. Okay, these are labeled first by the sun. You'll have, if you have multiple suns, they will be labeled A, B, C, D, etc. And the number after that is going to be the number of the planet in the system. Now, the guide that I'm using tells me what planets are worth my time, and it's telling me that planet number 3, 1, 2, that may be 3. Yeah, that looks like that'll be number 3. This may actually be number 3. Nope, this one is actually number 3. So I'm going to select that as my target, exit out, align to my target, and get as close as I can. With the Advanced Discovery Scanner, like what I've got, actually the surface scan that I have, I can be within 50 light years and start scanning most everything. If it is particularly large, like one of those gas giants we saw in the list of the solar system, then I can scan it from a good bit further. Suns, I can scan thousands of light seconds away, which is nice. If you do have a short-range discovery scanner, like all of you are going to start out with, using that guide to find out which planet you need to go explore and which sun it's based off of, you can go to the sun that it's based off of and scan that sun, or scan near that sun, and you should pick up the planet that you need to go check out. I'm looking at high metal content worlds, Earth-like worlds, and I forget the other class, but there is a third class. Basic information about how to get around places is you want to go full speed until you hit about 7 seconds, and then you can start slowing down and maintain that 7-second distance. So I'm going to do that now. I'm already a bit too fast. Drop my throttle all the way down. There we go. I'm almost 100 light seconds out, and I'm actually scanning that planet already, which is cool. That means I don't have to get super close. I don't have to be super fine in my measurements. As long as I don't overshoot it, I'm fine. I'm watching this icon down in the lower left-hand corner. Boom, I have the scan of that planet. So I'm going to do one or two more so that you guys, well, I'll do one more so that you guys get kind of a feel for what we're looking for and how to do it. Because one time is rarely the right number of times to show you or to really come across. And I don't think you're slow. I think you're just as quick as I am, but sometimes you just need that little bit extra information. And I'm going to go ahead and pop in the section. Go ahead and pop in the system that I need to go check out, and I'll go check it out. Looks to be about one jump away, and here's an issue I've been running into fairly regularly. I can't seem to plot a course. To fix that, I click on literally any other planet, then refind it, and boom, I can plot a route. It is a single jump out there. It is quick. And while we do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you why you might want to go explore. Exploring is a high profit, low input job, mission, whatever. It is a you made it up kind of job. I personally very thoroughly enjoy exploring like this. I think it's really cool. And the money part is each of these planets that you scan, the high metal content, the Earth-like worlds, those like that, are worth on the order of about $1 million a piece. You notice I didn't scan any of the other planets in the system. The max you will get out of a non-Earth-like world, high metal content planet is about 4,000. So realistically speaking, not really worth my time. Once again, pop into a system, pop that scan off, and then I'm going to start looking for my planet. So I'm going to go over to the system map, and I know I did that quick. It was the second option on that list, I do believe. And I'm looking for planets 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom. Select it. And orient. If you go through the tutorials and you spend a little bit of time in game, none of this is going to be any kind of news to you. But for you new guys, this may be just a tiny bit difficult. I took a buddy, Auto Dave. You've seen him in streams of mine before, and I've walked him through how to do this. He was in his Sidewinder, and after one good mission with me, and he made maybe 100 jumps, and I know that sounds like a lot. It really kind of is a lot, especially in a Sidewinder. And I have overshot this already. I wasn't watching my time. That situational awareness biting me in the butt. Boom, way too fast. But I can loop back around, point at it, and I'll catch it. Anyway, so Auto Dave was able to buy literally any ship that he wanted, except for the top tier ships, and outfit it with one trip out and probably an afternoon's worth of work. We did it again after he got his new exploration ship and fit, and he had easily 10 times the amount of money as when he started. Also looking for planet number 6. Locked on, orient, and I may or may not be lucky and have it right in range. It is not, in fact, in range, so this is going to take another little bit of time getting on out there. Not a big deal. But yeah, when you're making, 10 million-ish per hour of work, it is absolutely worth your time to do this, and you have a lot of fun exploring new places, seeing new sights. I've seen jet cones. I'm not very familiar with them, but it's like a star that has exploded and has jets of gas coming out both sides that can massively increase your jump range. Wouldn't have seen that if I hadn't been out exploring. Missions are fun. Trading is fun. Carrying people around is kind of sort of fun. But this is the thing that really speaks to me. I like this style of gameplay. I like finding new stuff. Granted, I'm using a guide. It's still exposing me to new things I've never seen before. I mean, I've seen dark stars, like they're purple, and they're very dim. Like, what? I've never seen that kind of thing in real life either, but still, it's visually interesting. And I gotta say, this ship is a beaut. And if you didn't catch it back at the beginning, this sucker here is the Diamondback Explorer. I like it. I like it a lot. Oh, just a note, if you do go out into that camera mode, you don't continue to scan, which kind of stinks. So I was just kind of wanting to show you guys the ship while it did its thing, but felt like a little bit less wasted time. So anyway, I have scanned a couple of these, and I probably have about 1.5 million to 2 million in stuff that I can sell. I'm going to go back to my galaxy map, and I'm going to go to my bookmarks, because of course I bookmarked my home location, plot my route, and go home and sell it. I'm going to walk you through how to sell it too, because that's an essential part of this. And once again, I'm going to skip most of the travel so that you guys don't have to sit through that like I do. Definitely, if you come out here and you do this, hit more than 2 systems. Hit as many as you can, as many as you have time for, because when you get back, you're going to have a ton of money. Okay, so we are back in our home system. Some things you might want to have noted, and if you were very diligent, you very well may have also already noted, that not all stars will give you fuel if you try to scoop from them. That's something I ran into, and also part of why I get a little bit of a scoop at every star that I can. And it looks like I'm not going to win coming in on this station here. I will be facing the rear anyway it goes. But there's a nice mnemonic to know which stars you can, in fact, scoop from. It is, "Oh, won't you be a fine girl and kiss me?" So each starting letter of each word in that mnemonic is a class of star that you can scoop from. Like kiss, class K stars you can scoop from, which is nice to know. And you also maybe notice me taking a little bitty sip every single time I passed a star. Well, every star that would give me fuel, I took a small sip from, which meant I had to stop not a single time on the way back. If you get a good run of scoopable stars, you'll find that's the case most of the time. Yeah, I'm around half fuel. Not a big deal. It's, especially in this ship. In smaller ships with smaller jump ranges, like the Sidewinder that you're going to start out in, that's kind of a big deal. You kind of want to stay above that. You want to stay above that halfway mark, and you definitely want to choose the more economical routes, so you don't have as much stoppage, like you don't run out of fuel. Now, I haven't actually run out of fuel. I haven't had any friends or anything that have totally run out of fuel, which is nice. But if you do in fact run out of fuel, there is a group of players so that if you're in open play that should be able to come out and come get you. They are the fuel rats. I haven't had to call them out, so I don't really know how nice they are, but just imagine, I mean, it's a player coming out to save your butt. So be very nice, be very polite when you call in for their help, and know that they are there. And I'm going to demonstrate that docking computer, which is super duper handy. I'm going to get within 7.5 kilometers, go over to my contacts, request my docking. I'm good. It says slow down for auto dock. Kill my speed, and it is hands-off controls right now, and it will land me, which is awesome. But once again, this is hands-off controls. It is nice, it is fast, it is convenient, but if you need to break out of it for some reason, like you're carrying some illegal cargo, all you have to do is throttle up a bit, and you take control again. But be aware that everything has inertia. So if you take over control at just the wrong time, then you may in fact run into something. And I do kind of like the music that it plays when it docks me. I mean, that's pretty nice. It's a nice touch. And so is the music kind of going weird when you go through that gateway. Hey, it may just be me, but I think that's a very nice touch. And if you've ever tried to land a ship without a docking computer, it's not very hard, but it is sometimes time consuming. So I feel like it's worth it, especially since the module is so cheap. When you're ready to sell your stuff, you go into your station services. Notice that I did take some heat damage, so I'm going to repair. I'm going to refuel. Yes, I could refuel for free. That is pennies compared to what I'm going to be making off of this data. So to sell this data, you go over to Universal Cartographics, and you can see what each planet you scan sold for. So I scanned a whole system, like 800 credits. Scanned a whole system, 5,000 credits. Not a whole bunch, but you do a bunch of those, and since it costs you no extra time, it's free money. Scan every system you go into. And looking at the first planet we scanned, it was about 700,000 credits. Second planet, let's see. Oh, here it is. 278,000. And I don't see the last one. It's gotta be this one. It is 27,000. Not a huge payout, but overall, I can sell the whole page for 1.1 million. That was not the best I've ever done. It's not going to be the best you ever do. This is fairly typical, though, on one of these lower value areas. But I can sell the whole page, and boom. Got 1 million more credits for... We've been recording for about 38 minutes now. If I hadn't stopped to run you through all of the hangar stuff, that's like 30 minutes for 1 million credits. Now, there are things that'll pay off more, but honestly, it pays off better than missions, even the ones that I've been running, especially if you chain 5 or 6 of those together. But anyway, I don't want to take up any more time than I absolutely have to, because you're good folks and you got other stuff to watch, places to be, things to do, so I'm going to cut it here. Thank you for joining me. Like it if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, leave a comment if your thoughts are more complex than that, and if you hadn't already, hit that subscribe button. There's going to be more of this kind of thing coming out from my channel, and I've been dropped from the YouTube Partner Program at this point, so every subscription counts. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.